All right, so let's just look at the monoplata from mount and sort of update some of the details there. But here's the core idea and why we might go down this route from mount. So similar to close guard, we have our options from mount where we could start thinking about working outside of Damien's elbows here, working towards arm wraps and things like this. I can start working underneath his elbows here or like this here, starting to bring the elbow up nice and high, going towards arm triangles, working double underhooks to go into S mount and things like this. But the sort of more unexplored option is starting to work inside of the elbows. And we'll typically see this inside of a closed guard as like, sort of working overhooking options, starting to work clamp guards, things like this. But you don't see people do this too much from mount. But there's a great route here where I'm bringing my arm inside of Damien's, particularly when I'm trying to sort of get underneath Damien's elbow and he's doing a good job keeping his elbow inside. I might consider going inside of his wrist here and taking my elbow inside of his elbow, just like this here. Now, when I do this, it's going to be very easy for Damien to re-pummel his arm back inside. So I need to make sure that I'm matching this by bringing my knee up and behind Damien's shoulder. Now, I've got options here of starting to try and step over the top of Damien's arm for triangles and things like this. And this is a great option, but what we're going to look at is going towards the monoplata. Now, why are we going towards the monoplata rather than the arm bar? So let's say, for example, whether I throw my leg over the top of Damien's head or not, I'm starting to sit back for Damien's arm here on this nice strong lat arm bar. This is great. I've got it behind my shoulder here. I can put a lot of pressure in, straighten his arm out, things like this. But one of the big issues is as I'm sitting back, this is opportunity for Damien to misalign his elbow and starting to go on his hitchhiker here, starting to make his way out. Now, normally, if we sit back on an arm bar and we have wrist control, for example, and Damien starts doing a good job on his hitchhiker, I'd think about trying to take his arm over my opposite hip, forcing him to have to change directions, and then we have all these options from here. Now, what I could do is as I come back from my lat armbar and I'm feeling him going for his hitchhiker, is I could consider trying to switch to wrist control. But this can sometimes be a little bit clumsy, and it might be that in the process of coming back, I'm a little bit too late, I'm passing over the top hip, but then now he's just coming up on top and he's made his way out of the armbar here. So what we're going to think about doing instead is sitting back in a way where we get our partner's arm bent down and over our hip here. Now, notice that I'm doing this and getting Damien's elbow sort of pointing away from my hips, but I'm forcing him into this thumb down position. So now when he tries to walk his feet away from me here, it's not going to be possible. He's actually putting pressure on his own arm. So the idea is where instead of having his elbow pointing down and towards my hips or into my thigh, I'm actually holding his arm in this sort of thumb down position here. Now, when I do this and Damien's sort of elbow is pointing up and away from me, this means that I can't just necessarily bridge into his arm here because I'm putting a bend into the elbow here versus normally when we have the elbow pointing downwards, when we bridge, we'd be pushing into the elbow, forcing that hyperextension. Instead, we'd be almost bridging into the crook of the elbow. It depends a little bit on their shoulder mobility. Some people got pretty immobile shoulders and you would still get an effect there. But when we work the monoplata, we're thinking about this more so as a mechanism for control here. And the main way I'm going to try and finish this is I'm sliding my knee back and I'm thinking about using this to push on Damien's elbow and rotating it in towards the sky here. Now, what I don't want to have happen is as I'm rotating his elbow upwards is Damien sits up in towards me here, taking pressure out of the arm lock. So I want to be thinking about using my leg, ideally in this sort of 3/4 arm bar position here, where now he tries to sit up and towards me, and I can keep his shoulder down, and I'm sliding my left knee back here to rotate his elbow, and he's going to feel the pressure more so in his elbow than his shoulder. But the other option I have is I can also throw my leg over Damien's shoulder here like this, and I can even push Damien's shoulder downwards into the lock. So not only just stopping him from coming up, but I can even force his shoulders to return down to the mat here. And the whole time that I'm doing this, I'm keeping on an elbow wedge. I don't want to work an overhook here. This is not a very controlling grip to use in this situation. We've talked about this with when we're controlling in leg entanglements. I'm not necessarily looking for some sort of Achilles grip. Specifically, I'm thinking about this elbow wedge here. So if we rotate your head towards the camera. So the idea is I want to sit back, having his arm bent down and over my hip, and the mechanism is going to be my knee sliding backwards here. So just this sort of movement here, keeping his shoulders downwards. If Damien's able to sit up with the pressure here, it's going to be hard for me to arm lock him. There's some different options we've got from here, but even better would be if I can start pushing his shoulder downwards into the lock. So what this looks like from mount, sorry Damien, this is not very pleasant.
Super quickly, like and subscribe.
I'm thinking about taking my arm inside of Damien's here. I'm starting to slide up, sitting back almost like I'm in an S-mounted position here. Now when Damien goes to explode into his hitchhiker, it should be difficult. if he manages to start straightening his arm out at this stage, so just even straightening out, like, yeah, so we'll go thumb down here. If Damien manages to start straightening his arm out here, he's actually going to put himself in a very tight arm lock, and his arm's going to break before he has a chance to actually go into his escape. So this is not a very good option from him here. But notice that we've also got this option where Damien starts trying to sit up and towards me here, just like this. And so we end up in a very similar situation, almost like a omoplata, but I never pick to throw my leg over his face, just because when we start rolling through and things like this, it can go quite poorly for me. So a lot of times we'll go sort of feet towards the camera here. Damien starts sitting up. I'm going to actually leave my knee behind Damien's shoulder here, just like this. So as he's coming up and we're starting to roll through, I'm not allowing my leg to drift across his face, and we're now landing in this monoplata position here, just like this, nice and tight sort of shoulder lock. But if we add an extra detail to this here in the setup, if we go, yeah, head that way, please, Damien. Where what I'm going to look for as I set this up, whether my leg goes over his shoulder or not, is I want to look for this scoop grip here. So now, even if I end up and I've sort of messed this up and I end up on a lat armbar, Damien goes to walk away for a hitchhiker, should be difficult. If he tries to sit up in towards me, for example, should be difficult, and I have control the whole time. And this is even strengthened when we have the monoplata option here, where now it really limits all the directions he can go, and he tries to sit up and towards me. It's not going to happen. I can always mat return him here. Throwing my leg over the shoulder, for example, sliding back. And this is just such a strong finishing position, really eliminates a lot of his options. Even if I allow his arm to start rotating inside here, we now end up on our lat armbar, very, very tight. He can't go anywhere because I'm controlling his leg, just completely eliminates all his escaping options.
Thank you for watching. If you want access to over 1,000 more videos, as well as community chat where you can ask questions, get feedback, and also it's the only place where I actually take video requests, check out the link below.